One man, one garden, a race against time, a battle against the seasons, a journey to the ultimate garden.
Okay, my last introduction was a little bit boring and I might have gone a little bit too far the other way to try to balance it out. But either way, it's an exciting day to be outside today. Look at the sun, it's t-shirt weather. Only just, admittedly, if you're actually doing something, but we'll pretend for the purpose of this video, it's a glorious warm day outside. And actually this shirt looks significantly better when I'm not wearing a hoodie over the top with a V. Better and also slightly less phallic, as one or two of you might have picked up on. In today's video, I'm going to be starting on my path widening project. Yes, it's time to start digging up the garden and making a real mess. Widening the path through the bamboo tunnel, taking out some of those cannas and preparing to extend this hard landscaping even further through. So let me show you the area and what I'm on with. So guys, I'll be honest, that's all the drama and excitement out of the way. From here on in, it is a boring gardening video with a very boring gardening project. I might have to dip into a little bit of abrasive music and maybe some fisheye angles to try to liven this up and really give the impression of some kind of production value. But we'll see, I won't promise anything. So this is the area here, and I'll stand up this way to show you the real problem. Here, the garden's too narrow. Either side, I've got persicaria there, more persicaria here. I like the stone wall this side. These stones here, they don't really need to be here. When it gets to midsummer, the whole garden kind of meets in the middle, and it's not ideal for walking through. Because this is basically the only way of getting through my garden, it makes sense to have a nice wide path, even though my garden is relatively narrow. So walking back, you can see, at the minute, bare earth either side of these sleepers. What you can't see is down this side here, there's loads of Cannas Altensteinii. Those were a Canna that I grew from seed a few years back. Fantastic budget way of filling out your tropical garden. There we go, a little bit of practical knowledge, practical tips to balance out a largely vain and completely pointless video. So once those Cannas come out there, once these sleepers come out, I'll be able to extend this path wider and get it so I can have cobbles maybe either side of it. Maybe even the path itself might be cobbles. It's going to be wider, there's going to be more room, and these bamboos can really fill out. Ultimately, with this part of the garden, I actually put it together quite last minute, knowing that Gardener's World will be filming here. And if you don't know my garden story, I'll put a link in the description below to a video which sums it up quite nicely. Essentially, we moved here in summer 2020. In the February afterwards, Gardener's World got in touch to say, we want to film your garden, which is something that I'd always wanted to do at some point in my life. However, with less than 6 months since we moved in, it was maybe a little early. So what I decided to do, when they wanted a quick video showing around the garden to get an idea of whether it's worth coming or not, I might have been very selective with my camera angles, showing the nice bits, skipped through the bits that weren't quite finished. And also, I said I was going to put a lot of filler plants in here, and I did. So when they came, this area here, it looked beautiful, colourful, full of jungle tropical style plants. I'll put a link to the BBC actual section for my garden in the description below. But what I found over time is these filler Cannas, they get too big. Yes, too big for a tropical plant. They get huge, 6 foot plus, big flowers, and this area became a little too restrictive. This area was supposed to be about the bamboo. These glorious tall canes, an absolutely fascinating plant that I love here in my garden. So that's what I'm going back to. Taking out a lot of this unnecessary planting down this side here, removing these sleepers and digging off the top layer of the soil, which will be going close to the house so I can get more hard landscaping down. And at some point in the future, I'll be able to build on top of that crusher and have some kind of floor surface running all the way through the garden, neatly tying it together. And to show you where the soil's going, we'll head through my jungle clearing, through Treefen Avenue. I'll move the camera from side to side to make you thoroughly seasick whilst watching, and also give the impression this is maybe filmed with a high-end drone, when you know it definitely isn't. This is the area where I'm gonna have a raised bed. It's gonna be probably 2.5 sleepers high, running down here, about 1200 mil from the wall. So first off, before I begin, this has just dawned on me, I need to move all this timber out of the way. I need to move these pots out of the way and decide which of these bulbs I'm keeping and which are going to be covered up with soil. In an ideal world, I would have the sleepers in place before I put any soil here, but I'll be getting the sleepers in the next couple of weeks, so it'll come together, I'm sure. So first things first then, let me get this timber out of the way and we can clear a space ready for some soil. So now I've moved most of the mess to other parts of the garden and got more of my fair share of cobwebs in my face, it's time to do a bit of digging around the area now, see what's actually there, move some of those Spanish bluebells, just move them out of the way, keep them safe, and also dig up a lot of the really persistent weeds before I put more soil straight on top of them. There is a lot of comfrey or borage, which one of those, I don't quite know, I always get mixed up between them in the area. But I've no doubt that that will come up even through another foot of soil on top of it. So let's get started. A bit of digging later then, and you can see I've got a barrel full of weeds, roots, lumps of terracotta, a bit of all sorts really. Everything that I didn't really want in this border. But you'll also see that I've stopped about 2/3 the way down. So I've left those bulbs in for now, and all the other various weeds, no matter how beautiful they are, they can stay there for a while longer at least. This area here will give me enough ground, enough space to put the soil on for now, so that is today's mission. I've had a bit of a dig through, but it was more just to see if there was any sort of slabs, stonework, concrete, the usual things you find in gardens that have been dug over and gardened over the years. There isn't anything. I knew the soil here was reasonably good. Obviously, if I wasn't raising it, I would literally go through it, pick out every single little stone, go through it with a rake, really put the effort into improving the soil as best I can. But as I'm going to be raising up the area anyway, with some nice organic matter-rich compost and soil, I think really that'll do for now. There isn't a bad mixture of soil under there. It's enough for what I'm doing. Now, when I first started the video, obviously you definitely saw me notice this electrical cable in there straight away. Definitely didn't forget that that was there. So this video could have definitely had, if you excuse the pun, a shocking end, and one which many of you might say will be an infinitely better one. Although I suppose really the footage will just remain forever on my hard drive as a warning to absolutely no one. But a disastrous end to the video has narrowly been averted. The ground has been prepared, and now it's time to go back into the jungle and start digging once again. Believe it or not then, I am pretty much a no-dig gardener, in the sense that I very rarely dig the soil here to improve the beds and borders ready for planting. And in fact, in most of the garden here, I actually planted the vast majority of my specimen structural plants within a couple of months I was first moving in, and I did pretty much nothing to the ground. Admittedly, we are quite lucky to have decent soil here, but if you've got what I call problem soil, tricky, claggy clay, maybe very sandy, as you saw in my video earlier on this season, talking about soil improvement, it's absolutely worth putting the effort. Add organic matter, dig it up a bit, improve that structure, work some soil conditioner or farming manure in. But for me here, I am admittedly very smug and very lucky. But now it's time to start ripping this area up here. I'll first take up the sleepers and also some of these stones, get these out of the way, then I can really see what I'm dealing with. First things first then, Remi's going to help me move some of these stones out of the way here. So basically the new edge to the border, I've decided I'm not moving that big boulder there, mainly because it's ridiculously heavy, but also because we'll say from a design point of view, which is obviously my main intention, it ties together this jungle clearing part of the garden with the Mediterranean exotic arid fire pit up there. We'll say that anyway, a nice visual link, nothing to do about laziness. So what I will leave is this little fern here, which is currently showing these sporing fronds. This little shuttlecock fern will be on the outside of my borders. So that is definitely mixing things up leaning into that naturalistic aesthetic. And in fact, when I first built this jungle clearing area here, I did actually ponder on maybe having a few plants inside the clearing, the other side, the wrong side of the barriers. I quite like the idea of mixing the formal with the completely informal. And in fact, here, several weeds and snowdrops have actually done that for me, entirely intentionally. And this fern, I think it'll just be nice just to leave it there, let it do its thing, and then as it spreads, I can soon pick them up and move them around the garden. So first things first, move some of these stones out of the way, and then I can really see what I'm dealing with. So let's get started. Remi then is proudly showing off and sniffing these new stones and rocks that I've dug up out of the garden. There's quite a few of them. And I actually forgot that I dug this second layer into the garden. You see, when I built this whole jungle clearing area and put this whole sort of wall, if you like, of stones all the way around it, I put a second layer of stone in. So that way I knew at some point I would be digging up this area for hard landscaping, and it saves me chopping through a lot of plant roots. So hopefully down the line, that'll be worth doing. But for now, at least, I've forgotten a little bit about how heavy some of these lumps of stone really are. They're very dense York stone. So now you can see this area up here. And in fact, staying on the subject of scent, the main smell that I could detect whilst digging, it was the Fritillaria imperialis. They've certainly got an unmistakable scent, and today's the first day it's really hit me. If you grow them, you will know. It's definitely strong. So now you can see I've dug out 2 layers of stone, nearly chopped through a eucalyptus root down there, which is extended from the big glaucescens up there, but hopefully I got away with it. So basically this area now is as wide as I think I need it to be. The area there between the fern, that stone, and that wall there, that's as narrow as I want it to be. So what I need to do next is basically extend this width further down here by taking out these sleepers. Now, when these sleepers went in, a lot of them, they were all second-hand, so they're potentially not in the best of condition. So they might be entirely rotted when I take them up, I don't know. So there's only one way to find out really, isn't there? Let's get on with it and take out the sleepers. Good boy, Remi. Good boy. Good boy, Remi. What's this? Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. That probably gives you an idea, doesn't it? Definitely a little past the best. Lovely. Hello, Max. Hello. You can tell it's sunny today because Max has made an appearance. He's moved off his sofa in the sun and actually come outside. You good boy. Good boy. So then, as promised, I'm making a proper mess in the garden. Just look at this. So I've got the sleepers out. They weren't too bad really. Some of them were surprisingly light. Now they've rotted down a bit. Others were actually quite heavy as they're saturated and soaked by the water under there. Remi is experiencing a whole new world of smells now. And in fact, I took up the membrane, which you can just see a bit of over there, which was basically put down again for Gardener's World. I put some membrane down, some bark chip and shredded logs on top of it, and it really provided a nice finish for a year. But over the last few years since then, as you can see, it's basically turned to soil. Well, that and me marched up and down the garden with barrows. My friend the robin, somewhere up there, sounding very excited. So there's obviously a lot of worms on the go down here. As you can see, the soil looks beautiful, it looks dark, it looks crumbly. Remi certainly agrees and is eager to dig it down there. There's no dig rules for Remi, he just goes for it. So now, I guess what I need to do is really get these Cannas out. I can see where from the stalks from last year where they actually are, so I need to take some of those clumps out, and then I can really begin digging and getting some of this soil out of the way. And then once I dug this out a little bit deeper, eventually I can put some more of this crusher down later in spring and really help tie the areas together. So Remi and Max, who's marching on over now, are we ready for some more digging? Max, do you want to do some digging? Yes, good boys. Boys, you're supposed to be working. I can only imagine they're arguing about who wants to dig first. Max, what are you doing? Where's Remi? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Whoosh. See, this is what I have to put up with most of the time. Sausage races. And we're off. Whoosh. Whoosh. You'd be surprised at how fast the little legs can run for short bursts at least. Remi, and it's coming again. Whoosh. He's off. Well, what an exciting interlude this has been. Full-on sausage racing, and who's going to win? Who's going to win? Remi's going, and he's past the finish line. What a boy. Max, only little legs, and he's definitely following in second place. Good boys. And it's all go again. Remi's taking the lead, and Remi he's done it again. Max. No, it's been a long winter, mate, but you need to get your fitness up. So now I've got the Cannas out of the way, we can really see how much room I'm dealing with. And in fact, some of the Cannas, I expected them all to be massive, great big clumps. Some of them have shrunk down. Some were predictably large, great big clumps. I put them all over there for now. They can stay in a pile. I might move to the polytunnel over the weekend, pot them up in some pots and just keep them away from the real frosts that are going to come. But those will grow in naturally in their own time, and I can use them further up the garden in the bed that you just saw me digging up. So now I've got the Cannas out of the ground. The next step is to take the top layer of the soil off to give me that space to really get the crusher on top of it and continue this pathway through the garden. So I suppose really I need to go down to around 200 mil, 8 inches. Guys, about that much, isn't it? Somewhere around there. If I could take that amount of soil off, take the soil up to that end of the garden, I don't know about you, but I'm actually surprised by how much I've done today. But anyway, no more slacking, no more talking. Let's get on with the digging. A bit more digging later then, and it's now time for me to get packed away, washed off and go pick our daughter up from nursery. I didn't quite get done as much as I wanted. As you can see, I'm about a third of the way down, but at least I know what I'm doing now, and I guess really not doing quite as much as I expected is definitely a theme through my videos, and one that I'm pretty sure won't change. But at least you can see the way things are going now. I've started, I know where the soil's going to, and doesn't time just fly when you're digging in the garden? Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, which on the face of it really is absolutely scraping the barrel of what you could consider content. I know with most of my recent videos I've tried to insert garden lessons into them, things you can pick up on and will pretend that they're vaguely educational. I don't really think I need to do that today. Oh, I do. Today's lesson is the traditional saying, you can't make an omelette without leaving a trail of complete and utter devastation behind you. And that's exactly what I've done here. This part of the garden now, you can't get through it. I've got a rock blocking the fire pit up there. My mound of rubbish and dirt and soil is even bigger now. And I've even messed up the part of the garden where Harriet's toys are. So really, that's where things are today. The garden has never looked worse, but hopefully it'll lead on to it looking bigger and better. And yes, the most important thing is now we're cooking. The garden is moving and I'm actually getting on with things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, if enjoyed isn't too much for a strong term. And I hope you managed to get plenty done in your gardens while it was sunny before this cold weather came back round. Trust me, spring will be here very, very soon, and I really am excited about it. So thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. See you later.